The inquiry into alleged British complicity in the rendition and torture of terror suspects is to investigate how far the security services went in cooperating with the Gaddafi regime. The Prime Minister told MPs that the Gibson inquiry will look into documents found in the Libyan security HQ in Tripoli, which suggests that the two services became too close. But Mr Cameron said that no one should rush to judgment over claims that Britain was involved in illegal rendition. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman has this.
When Colonel Gaddafi was toppled last month, much of Libya celebrated. Though British fighters and special forces helped that revolution, it's now emerged that Britain once judged some of Libya's freedom fighters as terrorists, and that Britain may have helped Colonel Gaddafi's regime in capturing them against their will. That is the picture emerging from this room in Tripoli. It's Libya's Foreign Intelligence Bureau, and it's here that Human Rights Watch has discovered documents revealing just how close the relationship was between the Gaddafi regime and MI6. It was Tony Blair who instructed MI6 to bring Colonel Gaddafi in from the cold. It was MI6 which struck the deal which saw the dictator renounce chemical weapons. But in the febrile post-9/11 atmosphere, did MI6 do Gaddafi too many favours in helping round up terror suspects and break British law in the process? MI6 has always denied involvement in torture and rendition, but today the Prime Minister confirmed that the Libyan file would be investigated.
Significant accusations have been reported today that under the last government, relations between the British and Libyan security services became too close, particularly in 2003. We've asked the retired judge, Sir Peter Gibson, to examine issues around the detention and treatment of terrorist suspects overseas, and this inquiry has already said it will look at these latest accusations very carefully.
Abdul Hakim Belhaj is now the UK's ally as a commander of rebel forces in Tripoli. But he's a former jihadist militant in a group the UK says was linked to Al-Qaeda. He says the Libyans tortured him after he was captured in Bangkok in 2004, and that the British interrogated him in Tripoli. This letter from Sir Mark Allen, then head of counter-terrorism at MI6, suggests Britain was involved in catching him. This was the least we could do for you and for Libya to demonstrate the remarkable relationship we have built over recent years, Sir Mark writes. We've seen this CIA document outlining the flight plan for Mr Belhaj in 2004. It calls his return to Libya a rendition and says the plane will pass through the British territory of Diego Garcia. But a Whitehall official told me Mr Belhaj was legally deported, that the UK did not facilitate his return to Libya, and that it's standard practice for the UK to seek assurances that suspects are not being tortured. In the Commons today, the Foreign Secretary at the time denied all knowledge.
He knows it was the consistent policy of the previous government, as his, wholly to be opposed to any complicity in torture or ill-treatment or unlawful rendition.
Another Islamist fighter named in the documents is Abu Mundir, who was caught in Hong Kong in 2003. A CIA document to Libyan intelligence from March 2003, marked secret, says the CIA is aware that your service has been cooperating with the British to effect Abu Mundir's removal to Tripoli. The document is entitled Rendition, though a Whitehall official told me this was not rendition but illegal deportation with Hong Kong's consent, and that the intelligence gained was vital in illuminating senior Al-Qaeda figures. So was Mr Mundir, on the right here, a threat to the UK, justifying British involvement? Well, one former Libyan jihadist who knows him claims he was Gaddafi's enemy, not ours.
Look, according to my knowledge, I don't think Abu Mundir involved in any activities against the UK or any other foreign countries. You know, what I know is Abu Mundir always against Colonel Gaddafi's regime.
MI6 has to work alongside unpleasant regimes. In Gaddafi's Libya, it gained intelligence against what was judged a common enemy. The question is whether it overstepped the mark. And the irony is that those enemies are now part of Libya's future.